Well, hello everyone, Ian Bailey back with another video, and this week we are looking at the highlights of the Vanishing Inc Session Convention 2024. It was another excellent year at the Session Convention. Every single year has just got its strengths in different places, and this year was no exception. So I'm going to look at the highlights, my own personal highlights over the weekend, and we're going to start off with the lectures. Unlike Blackpool and the bigger conventions, you haven't got to choose who to see, right? It's not like there's two lectures running at the same time. So the session is really just, your choices are yes or no. You either go to the lecture or you don't. And it's nice to have that option. It's nice to kind of feel like you're not missing out on something. So you're guaranteed to see a good lecture throughout the day. And for me, there were kind of really three big highlights. Well, four highlights for me. The first one was Axel Heklau. Now he is just a brilliant magician. I love this penguin lecture that he did many years back, and he's famous for Newsflash amongst any other tricks, but Newsflash was a torn and restored newspaper. He looked into to rope magic to start off with, and he had a wonderful display of the typical kind of torn, cut and restored rope. And the get ready for it looks genuinely, you cannot disagree with your eyes. You are cutting the center of that rope. The display was just amazing. Really clean cut right down the center of the rope, and then restoring the rope. And so that was a really nice little touch. He also did a kind of a rope through arm, similar to the rope through neck, but he's literally winding this rope around his arm about 10 times and then pulling it through. And the great thing is what Axel did, and lots of lecturers are now doing this, is having a QR code on the screen that you can scan, and basically rather than spending 30 minutes going into those two routines, because rope magic, you cannot remember anything. Doesn't matter even if you're making notes. You're not going to follow a rope routine and walk away knowing exactly what to do unless you buy the lecture notes or buy the DVD. So what Axel did is he had the QR code, you could scan it, and then you could basically watch those two effects explained, you know, on your phone later on, which I thought was a great idea rather than wasting a load of time on tricks that you're not going to remember in a lecture environment. So that was really good. Now then he went into the gypsy thread. This guy loves to tear and restore stuff, and the gypsy thread routine was the best gypsy thread routine I've ever seen. The touches on it were just so good. So for a start, rather than using a really thin thread, he's using a big thick stage thread that still snaps easily, so he's not struggling, he's not having to burn it with a candle or cut it with scissors. It still works, it's seamless in the terms of him pulling it apart. And the restoration was the ball of gypsy thread remaining in the center the whole time as he's pulling it out, rather than it being bundled at one end. And so many little touches that he brought to that routine that for me has really made me want to get it out and start performing it again. The final thing he actually revealed as well how it worked, but he was selling and will be selling in the near future, is a trick called Perfect Moment. And this was probably the only card at any number that I actually cared about. And he talked about a story of two people meeting and how, you know, it's the perfect person at the perfect time at the perfect location. And he brought those three kind of parts of the story together to this brilliant card at any number. So a card is chosen, shuffled back, and these are jumbo playing cards. He borrows a phone, they set a timer to any second between 1 and 60 seconds. They start the timer, and he just pulls each card away from the stack, from the deck of cards. And as soon as the timer goes off, that's the card that they chose. Doesn't sound remarkable, but when the music's playing and the tension is building, it really was great. And I think the premise of the perfect person at the perfect location at the perfect time is a really good hook for that effect, in my opinion. So Axel, excellent lecture. Tom Stone always has great material on his lecture. So Probably the highlight for me was his oven glove routine. So what happens is 2 cards are selected, the cards are shuffled, and he puts on these oven gloves and he tries to shuffle the cards and deal them out, but he can't do it, right? He's wearing these massive oven gloves. Of course he can't. So he asks the spectator to do everything. And then at the very end of the routine, he pulls off the oven gloves and their signed cards are in the gloves. And they've been in there from the very beginning. Lovely routine, really, really nice. And the thinking behind it was incredible. Really, really was very, very funny. And, you know, I thought I knew how one card got in the glove and I was wrong. I thought, this is the way I would do it, and I was wrong with that. And then the second one fooled me and I thought, how on earth has he managed to do that? And the thinking behind it and the method is simple and you would never expect it. David Stone, another fantastic lecture. This was probably the first time I've actually seen David Stone's lecture in the flesh. Now, there's no denying it, David Stone's lecture was a dealer dem, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but the way that he was structuring the whole lecture was just seamless, and every effect was just so clean and so effective. It really, I was almost buying everything. And of course, Splash Bottle appeared as well, literally. This effect, I'm sure you've all seen it, you may have owned it. Weirdly, I haven't owned it in the past, I don't know why, but pop the balloon and a champagne bottle, a full champagne bottle just appears at your fingertips. Excellent routine. But the way he does it is he brings up the Splash Bottle throughout the whole lecture and really keeps the magicians engaged, because you're expecting a normal explanation to a trick and then suddenly a bottle's appeared, and yeah, really, really engaging, fun lecture. He also did the card on the ceiling, which hasn't been done at the session before. So to have now at the Radisson Red Hotel a card on the ceiling, I feel like we've done our job as the magic community. So it's great to see that. People were flocking to the back of the lecture room to buy all of his wares, and that was a lot of fun. This probably was the highlight for me. Luke Germain's lecture. I said it before in the last video, Luke Germain's always knocking it out of the park. Every single lecture. So over the past 15 years, he's done a new lecture every single time, never repeated himself once. But over the past few years, he's got back into magic, just classic magic, but with a Luke Germain-esque style, and it was phenomenal. The thinking behind it was incredible. He did the cups and balls. He did a McDonald's Aces, kind of ace assembly, and then he also did this beautiful rising card routine. Lovely thinking. He was selling books for that hummingbirds routine. I think it's £100. I think they're all gone in less than 2 minutes. It was very good. Last video, I was saying how this year doesn't seem like there was much of a buzz about the session leading up to it. And I think tickets were still on sale till the last minute. I know they kind of say that they sell out every year. I don't know if they did this year. I think the reason why is that there wasn't a guest of honour mentioned. Normally they have a guest of honour, and they've had some incredible guests in the past. They've had Max Maven, they've had Juan Tamariz, they've had a whole variety of it. I couldn't name all the people. This year they didn't do it, and it turns out that it was a surprise to the surprise mystery guest himself, the guest of honour, and the guest of honour actually happened to be Luke Germain. So it was brilliant, and it is very well deserved. 15 years doing all this, working hard with Vanishing Inc. and delivering lecture after lecture over all those years. To have the guest of honour slot is definitely well deserved. And it turned out that they were at the session convention having lunch, and Luke said, "Who's the guest of honour this year? Why haven't we got one?" And Josh looked Luke in the eye and said, "We just didn't think anyone deserved it." And Luke, I think, agreed to that. And anyway, it turned out that they were just hiding this surprise from Luke the whole time, and he ended up being the guest of honour. And yeah, it was lovely. It was nice to have that recognition for him. So we had then this kind of mysterious a conversation that no one knew who it was in the conversation until that was announced, and that was announced on the Saturday night. And so yeah, it was great. There was a conversation with Luke. We also got our posters, so we always get our posters every year. And also this one had a abracadabra badge as well. Quite a nice little triangular badge, really artistically designed, really nice. So people were getting those signed by Luke. It was great, and I think they've pushed the bar out in a few places this year. So the base camp I talked about before, this was the first year they'd done that. The base camp's great, and I think it's a good way of people meeting others, you know, especially if it's their first time, or even if they've been going for years. I remember turning up at the convention not knowing many people, and especially when you stay at the hotel, you've got a lot of dead time during the day, and it can feel very, very lonely. I remember the first few years I went, I was going up to my bedroom just because I didn't really have anyone to chat with. Like, I didn't know anyone, and it was quite a lonely experience. And so having this dedicated time, this dedicated place for it to meet each other is a great idea. So that was one of the things. They also did a scavenger hunt on Instagram. So you go on Instagram stories. I should have known about this. They did it after I left. Okay, I left relatively early on the Sunday night, but they did a scavenger hunt, so they were hiding lots of tricks throughout the hotel and putting up clues, and people had to work out where those tricks were. And if they could find them, they get to keep them. Let's talk about dealers. So as mentioned, Vanishing Inc. don't have, well, they have their stand open all weekend. However, the other dealers from other companies, they're only there on the Sunday, and probably about half a day on the Sunday, really. Smallish room, maybe 5-6 dealers. It's always a little bit underwhelming, personally, when you go to the session and that dealer's hall. There's not many people there. There's not many kind of big names. Had Magic Box, they had a big selection of things. The Magic Circle were there, signing up members. Christian Grace was there. So he was demonstrating Enigma. I still haven't had it done to me by Christian in person, so I missed that opportunity. But yeah, he had a whole crowd of people around him. He had Magic Dream, and Magic Dream from France. That, look, I don't normally buy anything when I go to Magic conventions. Really, I try not to. Because really, I think for me now, I'm really just concentrating on creating my own stuff, and I find a lot of fulfillment in that. And I don't really want to be performing professionally, so it kind of makes you think, oh, should I really be buying something? And then I saw a project, or a trick called Room 66. That is one of these key tags on your keys. And basically this, believe it or not, is a peak device. An everyday carry peak device. Now, if you subscribe to this channel, you'll know that it is focused on EDC magic, right? I love EDC in general, and really, I believe magic should be fun, practical, and should be carried with you every day, right? If you're not gonna use it every day, if you're not gonna use it at every gig, you know, it's not worth it. And this is something which I will carry with me every day. It's now on my keychain. And this is a peak device, believe it or not. So what they will do is they will write a number or a word. They could even draw a picture if they want. It's a very small space, but normally a number, as if it was a hotel room. And they hold it in their hands while you wipe off the ink after they've written it down and showed their friends. And you're able to tell them what it is. And it's brilliant. Brilliant thinking. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, I'm getting it straight away. I think it was £25. Excellent effect, really, really good. So I'm pleased that I managed to pick something up from the dealer's hall. And that reminds me actually that I will be doing a EDC keychain magic video next week. I'll be looking into the tricks that I carry on my keychain in particular, and I'll be going into a deep dive on some of those tricks. So do watch next week. I'll be going and doing a review on Room 66, as well as a few other tricks that are recent releases as well. So you may be looking at these effects and thinking, should I buy them anyway? I'll be doing a review on them, on my kind of top 3 or 4 favorite tricks to carry on your keychain. So keep a lookout for that. And then also, let's just, before we go, talk about the personal highlights for me of the convention. You know, the convention is a lot of fun in terms of the official and organized things of the day. but really the highlight for me is getting to know lots and lots of people. It was great to hang out with Mark Lemon and Mark Elsdon and that kind of crew. Tom Crosby was there as well, and they were looking into smartphone mentalism tricks using shortcuts and all these kind of different things. I think a lot of it is available on Illusionist, and seeing that stuff played out, really good. Yeah, it was a joy to see. But then also one person that I really liked and got to know to some degree was John Carey. What a lovely man. Lovely man. He's known for a lot of his card magic effects. Really nice man. Really nice man. A joy to be around. You feel safe in his presence, you know? He's really down to earth and very nice. And yeah, I think all round, great convention. I'm looking forward to Blackpool now. We're going to be doing a video soon about what's happening at Blackpool. I have got my my dealer stand at Blackpool. I'll be having a dealer stand for the first year ever, so we'll be looking into that in a few weeks' time. That's going to fly by before we know it. But that was a fantastic convention once again from Vanishing Inc. You also, upon arrival, I forgot to mention, get yourself these Inks playing cards. Those were very nice, as well as obviously the full schedule. So if you want to kind of take a screenshot or pause the video at any point to see what the running order was like on the day, that was that. Information on the base camp was there as well. You also got a little magazine which yeah, had a lot of nice few articles and advertising their retreats and all sorts. Yeah, nice little touch. So to have a few kind of little freebies was great as well. There was a few tricks taught in there. Great stuff. Yeah, I think that's about it for this week, but thank you so much for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. If you went to the session convention, what was the highlight for you? What was your favourite lecture? What was your favourite personal highlight? And what was the favourite trick that you purchased at the convention? So let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next week. Cheers. Bye bye.